Alright, round 3. In the last 2 rounds, I've just sort of been talking over the gameplay with just thoughts about Pokemon and stuff like that. Hopefully I'll try to be more in-depth with plays and stuff like this round, especially in round 4, is what I'm hoping for, because there's just less games. You'd be surprised at how much talking by yourself for an hour constantly just drains you. Alright, to lead Hariyama versus Donphan. Chungler versus Wenders. Very... what do you call it? Strong openers from both of them. Wenders' lead Donphan is pretty calculated to beat even supposed checks like Omastar. I forgot where he posted it, but I think it has just enough Spadef to live a Surf, just enough attack to 2-hit KO with Earthquake, and then, outspeed Omastar. But anyways, Chungler setting up the Registeel, Thunderwave substitute, probably not Curse. Yep, Seismic Toss, I assume Explosion last. Showed Dragonite with Hidden Power, pretty standard. Hariyama knockoff. Pretty strong team so far, no funny business. You see Armaldo come in. Maybe trying to spin that Spike, but Hariyama gets roared in. Spike sacked. Unfortunate because Vaporeon could have wished it, or Hariyama also pretty frequently just has rest. So could have gotten more value there, especially knocking off things like Omastar, Regice, just because they rely on leftovers so heavily for their healing. Going to just Earthquake with Armaldo, I guess, deciding that Chungler has enough to take on Omastar from here, not worrying about any more spikes, even though there's Wish Vaporeon and Registeel paralyzed, I think? No, not paralyzed, but Registeel nonetheless. In the back, Chungler probably has something, well, I guess not specially bulky, definitely a secondary Raikou check, I think. Maybe own Raikou. Wenders pulling out the Miltank. Miltank getting served its own justice, kind of, with that full para into Focus Punch. Not behind a sub. Thunderwave Dragonite, by the way, very unusual, but I respect it. I think Thunderwave on pseudos is a lot more underrated than people might assume. Thunderwave Tyranitar, not seen very often, but I think it has potential. Of course, Swampert being the standard switching for Tyranitar kind of ruins that, but regardless, I think there's a way to make that work. Registeel getting paralyzed, though, means that Miltank might be able to get off of Milk Drink and Heal Bell here. Dragonite threatening the Focus Punch means that Miltank must Body Slam or switch. Dragonite actually using the opportunity to Heal Bell the Registeel. Smart, but that's a pretty unusual Dragonite set. Thunderwave, Heal Bell, Focus Punch, Hidden Power. Assuming it's Hidden Power Flying, it's... yeah, it is. Interesting coverage. I was going to say Wenders can just respond with Own Dragonite, basically for free, especially because it's Special Dragonite. I'm going to have a really hard time breaking through Registeel, probably. I mean, it could still have Earthquake. Miltank also similarly poised to take out everything else that's not Registeel. Assuming it can keep up its health, though. Vaporeon's not toxic. Dragonite has to rely on Hidden Power or Focus Punch and not get paralyzed. Could spam its own Thunderwave and just hope for the best. I'm going to speed this up a little because we're going to see about 10 turns on Miltank, I think. Registeel probably just going to explode here? No. Seismic Toss first. Wait for it to be faster? No. Raikou? Maybe Raikou has Roar. That would make sense on this team. Yep. Thunderwave Raikou also. Thunderwave Raikou and Dragonite and Registeel, but there's nothing to really abuse that except for Hariyama, which was in the lead. So might have spent Hariyama's health a little bit early there, trying to get Donphan just knocked off. Which is really strange because I know that Chungler got past a team that has lead substitute Donphan. Granted, this was a long time ago, but I think lead sub Donphan is pretty good. And so knockoff into that would have kind of just tanked Hariyama pretty bad for no benefit. We'll see how Chungler wants to get through this Miltank. Probably just focus punching there would have been a better bet because Dragonite's at full health and still has heal bells. Takes the focus punch there on Paralysis and hidden powers to finish off Miltank. Now Dragonite's still gonna get walled by Dragonite and Regice, but at least Raikou has a bit of an easier time. Unfortunately, it's Rest Regice. So, I mean, Raikou without Calm Mind is gonna have to put in some overtime work here because, like, Vaporeon Surf is not going to break through Regice. Regice can just spend all the sleep turns on it. And then Dragonite has to focus punch into Regice, which is not particularly useful. Again, another situation where you want the Hariyama in. Registeel could also come in to threaten the Regice, but not really. Like, once the set's revealed, Regice can stay in on it pretty safely. In the back, what would Wenders have? He's got 1.5 normal checks, he's got Raikou checks, he's got Dragonite, double heal bell, well, possibly. Maybe a spin blocker. I know Wenders really likes Haunter, but this is stacking up to not be able to get anything through Regice. You could bring Dragonite in on the rest turns just because, like, Regice doesn't have Sleep Talk. Force Wenders to pull in his own Dragonite on the Focus Punch, but then, like, either of these two Pokemon at the bottom here threaten Dragonite. Of course, Wenders just cycles back in Regice. Chungler could have used some spikes on this team, I suppose, but nothing you can really sacrifice for that here with Hariyama Registeel and a spinner. Houndoom. So, not a spin blocker, but a reverse blocker check. Makes sense because this team doesn't really like spikes. Dragonite's the only one that's immune, and Miltank is a pretty easy roar target for a couple of Pokemon, and gets forced out by others. Omastar, of course, a lot of things have Thunderbolt, Regice sleeping, Donphan spin, so Houndoom could have been quite a few Pokemon, but I think Houndoom might also just be there as Fire-type offense to break through Registeel. In case, like, Donphan goes, because Donphan having to do double duty of Registeel Answer and Spinner is kind of a lot of work for Donphan. And so Houndoom, like, doubly helps Donphan there, just because it also frees up Donphan to be able to rapid spin instead of having to be an attacker. Wenders had Flint. Oh, and Houndoom, of course. So game 2. Switch sides fast. Wenders now leading Hariyama. Chungler is just ripping the explosion immediately. I guess his team really is going to rely on leftovers, kind of implying no rapid spinner on his team. I know Chungler really likes Tentacruel, and so this is kind of like role reversal, I guess, here. Wenders is using Tentacruel Hariyama versus Chungler. Of course, Wenders has Haunter, one of his favorites in the tier. I think also one of his favorite Pokemon in general. I certainly like Haunter more than Gengar. So, no Weezing on Wenders' turn, Scizor being burned. Baton passes to Dragonite. We'll see. Oh, Brick Break just barely doesn't KO the Regice. I know that Chungler really. Celdanami says Wenders prepped for this exact moment. Because I know Chungler ran Swords Dance, Baton Pass, Brick Break, Dragonite specifically for Regices because it's an OHKO against a lot of Regice. Quagsire is an interesting pick, especially when you already have Vaporeon, just because Quagsire can't really take advantage of much curses or amnesia. Functions as the Raikou check for this team, it looks like. Regirock being kind of like a quarter of another one. Wenders just bringing standard Spikes kit with Dragonite Regice. Scizor being burned and staying in. Steel Wing. I assume last move is Hidden Power Bug or Ground. Ground probably. Oh, Baton Pass into Quagsire is definitely interesting. It's with Rest, Sleep Talk, Body Slam. That is certainly a set. Maybe it has Earthquake last. It would need... Yeah. So what does Wenders have for this now? Relying on crit or bad Sleep Talk rolls? Seems to be it. And so, like what I was saying with Quagsire, like even just regular Dragonite, Hidden Power Flying, no Dragon Dance, no Choice Band, did 43 to it. And so you can imagine there's a lot of Pokemon that just straight up plow through Quagsire. It actually looks like Chungler has updated the Scizor Baton Pass into Swallow Team, specifically versus Wenders, because previously it relied on Weezing, but this team relies a lot less on Weezing. Unfortunately, Scizor still got burned by Haunter. Scizor going for a last-ditch effort to pass a Sub-Dust Swallow. Nope, to Quagsire. Omastar is faster than Quagsire, so it's... I was going to say, I don't think it has the Spadef there. So what got replaced on this team? It's Venusaur and... I forgot what this Pokemon was. Venusaur, still I think a good Pokemon into Wenders. Gotta get creative with the rest of the sets. I think that the main hiccup here is relying on Swallow, because Wenders has Will-O-Wisp Pokemon pretty frequently, but like the meta has just sort of shifted away from Will-O-Wisp, and so it's not as prevalent as much. And so it's pretty hard to get Swallow in on a predicted Toxic when a lot of the Toxic Pokemon also run Thunder Wave, or like sometimes Omastar might run it, but it's hard to predict if Omastar is going to Spike, Toxic, Surf, Ice Beam, Protect, a lot of stuff like that. So that's how Chungler's team is set up, is trying to just crush everything with Swallow, but I mean, even Omastar, I think, might live +1 Guts, or +2 Guts, Hidden Power, Ground from Swallow. I don't know the calc off that, but I just know that, I mean, +6 Lanoon doesn't get there, and so, what would that be, ×4 Swallow? It'd be pretty close, I think. Omastar might be able to live at full. So Chungler probably wanted Spiked there, just because also like Regirock stops this team pretty hard. Obviously Vaporeon will come in on Regirock, but that won't last very long. That's probably why Chungler brought the Quagsire, actually, is to stop the normal resists, particularly Regirock and Armaldo. But Quagsire also has Body Slam Earthquake, so pretty hard-walled there, especially by Haunter, which, like I said, Wenders likes to bring. We'll see what they have in Game 2 or Game 3. Lead Raikou into Lead Regice. Lead Regice is actually pretty scary. Wenders, I think, only has one Lead Regice team, and so if Chungler has like teams pulled up on the side because everyone's no doubt just trying to scramble to get a game over on Wenders, Chungler probably already has the full team. Chansey is here. Probably could have saved the paralysis on Raikou and just gone straight Chansey there. Jungler does have Marowak. Unfortunately, there's a Misdreavus with Hidden Power. Okay, Marowak does have Rock Slide. It's debatable whether Marowak has to run like Rock Move or Ghost Move. Unfortunately, it's like both are bad into the ghosts, or not both. Rock Slide is bad into the ghosts, so Chungler just, I mean, maybe it has Hidden Power Ghost too, I don't know. Instead of, what do you call it, Substitute. We've got Wenders with Ursaring. Got Toxic correctly. From what? From Toxic Raikou. I saw double status Zapdos in a game in Gymvitational the other day, and I was surprised that Zapdos would run Toxic Thunderbolt, which might give me an idea for Raikou, but anyways, Wenders was able to get Ursaring set up on Raikou. Of course, if Raikou was just Thunderwave, it was already paralyzed, and so Ursaring is pretty threatening into Raikou regardless. Jimmy says, I feel like Bear should have just taken more KOs there. Wenders plays very safely, so probably recognized Ursaring's value and just trying to get Ursaring to take the least amount of chip. Because like you saw there, Chansey even survives Guts boosted return. Chungler saving everything, but it's all low, so I was going to say a fast Pokemon like Raikou can just come in and sweep it. I know that the team had Ursaring, but I don't remember Misdreavus. I'm going to comment on the Misdreavus real quick. Hidden Power on Prison with Thunderbolt is almost certainly the last move. A really good Raikou check. If Misdreavus catches Raikou coming in, or if, like we saw, Raikou gets paralyzed and Misdreavus can come in fresh on it. Imprisoned Misdreavus is probably one of the best Raikou answers because it is able to just completely be immune to Raikou, and then either set up Calm Minds, Toxic something, get a Thunderwave paralysis off. Its special attack is 85, which is not good, but it's not bad. Like a Misdreavus Thunderbolt into Slowbro, for instance, wouldn't be the end of the world for Slowbro, but it's also pretty decent progress making. Hidden Power in Prison also blocks Pokemon like Marowak from clicking Hidden Power Ghost, which, like, if Chungler had Hidden Power Ghost, he might have anticipated the Imprison there. I don't know, but it also blocks Pokemon like Machamp. It forces them to run Rock Slide in order to hit Misdreavus. And so I'm a big fan of Imprisoned Misdreavus, but it's kind of hard to pull off. You have to build the team around it instead of it just being a regular spike blocker, because there's other Misdreavus that are better as spin blockers there. Chungler brought Tentacruel that game. Classic sort of setup offense from Chungler with like one breaker and then 2 walls. So that's it. Wenders won. Alright, so now we have Celdanami versus Gojirados, playing on Fire Red Leaf Green meta. We've got Sceptile versus Arcanine. Probably the worst matchup Sceptile could see, especially with Roar. I know Gojirados has like a triple Intim team, and so I feel like it would be pretty reasonable to bring, or reasonable to expect Arcanine to come here. And so it's funny that Celdanami would bring Sceptile in against him, but we also see Celdanami's signature Golduck. After seeing it in 200, kind of thought it would be good here, and it did not terrible. We've got triple Roar on Gojirados' team. I wonder if there's a spiker in the back, or if he's just really trying to block setup. Because as we see here, Celdanami's got Machamp, Sceptile, Raikou, Golduck, all setup Pokemon. We've got Miltank, regular Dragonite, Steelix, Articuno as the walls. Kind of makes me wonder if he's got a second special defense, just because after, like, Steelix is a good Raikou check, but Articuno being the special wall is a little bit dicey, especially because Thunderbolt HP Ice hits. I guess there's enough pieces here against Raikou. Definitely enough pieces against Golduck. We've got Sceptile about to endeavor something. Yep. It'd be unfortunate if Raikou gets brought in here. It is. It does. I'm just going to click HP Ice or switch to Machamp. Is it mono Sleep Talk Raikou? So yeah, there has to be a second Raikou answer in the back if Gojirados is just going to explode Steelix on that. Typhlosion, another setup sweeper. Celdanami's playing really hard offense here. We'll see if it works out for him against thick fat Pokemon. Probably wants to switch. I don't know what the plan is right now. Probably switching after this substitute to get maybe sack off Golduck. I'm just gonna click Fire Blast for Blaze Boosted Fire Blast for 37. If it was Pitaya Berry, probably could have pulled in one more. Sceptile. Oh, is going to endeavor behind a sub. And we'll see Leaf Blade for a KO. And then Arcanine follow up to KO Sceptile. Maybe Sceptile endeavors again, expecting Arcanine. No, it just clicks Leaf Blade. That is enough damage for Raikou to come in because it hasn't thiefed anything yet. Or just goes Golduck, that's fine, I guess. Articuno's only at 25%. Golduck does have Ice Beam. I forgot if it was mono or not. And it's generally faster than Dragonite for the KO there. We'll see what can stop this Raikou. We've got Dragonite. We'll see if this is timid or modest Raikou. It's timid. I mean, it makes sense. And we'll see what's in the back. Maybe like Choice Band. No, Espeon. Special offense with Machamp as the only breaker. Seems to have worked here. We'll see what the last is. Maybe a fighting type. Hariyama would make sense. The switch there was odd. I guess just trying to get Articuno to chip into living a Psychic, but not after a Calm Mind. Omastar makes more sense that it would not have come in against any of these Pokemon. No Spin Blocker and no Wish on Gojirados' team. Kinda folds to spikes itself. And yeah, triple roar plus spikes makes sense, but unfortunately Celdanami just brought so much offense that there's no opportunity to spike. And that's one of the things about Omastar is that there's, like, it works until it doesn't. Alright. Lead Raikou versus Haunter switches to Golem. Raikou subs against I wonder what lead Haunter was trying to catch. Maybe just taunt the spikers and then also be immune to like a fighting type lead or ground type lead. Regice is coming in. Exeggutor as well. I have experimented with Exeggutor. I think on paper it's really good on UUBL, but then in practice it really struggles into a lot of common things. So we'll see how Celdanami is built around Exeggutor, and Golem might be just taking the opportunity to bring some more experimental stuff after, like, game 2 is a good time to do that after a fresh win. We're going to see if Ursaring has anything to hit Haunter. It's possible it doesn't. It usually runs HP Ghost, but like, the Ghost is not always in the tier, so, or like on teams that people bring, so it's possible it might not be. We've got Curse Regirock. Another Celdanami favorite is Regirock as like an offensive piece. Pretty good, and it looks like it's just going to finish the game here with just clicking Rock Slide over and over. Showing consistently slower than Regice. Regice might have a little bit of speed at least. Yep, Regirock functions. I think Golem might have just been there to check for Regirock's counters, because Golem can, like, having that's one thing that you can do to stack up offensive pieces is just throw something out to see what the check is and then come out with the real offensive threat. If Golem and Regirock hit something hard, like, it'd have to come into, like, gee, I don't know, that's a pretty tough combo to beat, actually, defensively. It'd have to come into, like, Wish Vaporeon, but then that runs the risk of explosion from either one of them. You could roar them out with Behind a Sub. Spike Shuffle would also work pretty well against this team. There's no spinner. So this set is Lory versus JoJo. We've got Sceptile lead. Clicks Pursuit. Probably could have just clicked Leaf Blade there. I don't know what Sceptile was expecting to come in, but Leaf Blade wouldn't be a bad move into very much, even if it was like a quad resist like Venusaur or something. JoJo bringing Vaporeon Subpass. Miltank paralyzes the Marowak. That's probably fine. Probably has a Heal Dollar in the back. Responds with Own Marowak. Lory seems to really like Marowak, it seems. Especially into Paraspam sets. Sceptile is Endeavor, so Registeel only has so many opportunities to come in, but Lory revealing also Regirock. Makes sense on Paraspam for Marowak. Vaporeon can come into Wish against Houndoom. Dragonite paralyzed. Heal Bell doesn't take effect there. Can't flinch from Rock Slide. Sceptile's gonna sub down to Overgrow range to try and Oko Regirock. I feel like he could have thrown out another sub there. It must not have Endeavor if it keeps switching out against Registeel. Or maybe JoJo just doesn't trust Overgrow Leaf Blade to KO 7% Registeel. or wants to see what Lory might have in the back, because with Houndoom there is an easy way to check the Registeel. Obviously Registeel is Thunderwave, but Houndoom versus like a regular Registeel, Houndoom wouldn't stand a chance, but after revealing Thunderwave Seismic Cross, Houndoom has a decent chance of being able to get through Registeel for Sceptile to endeavor whatever's in the back instead of Registeel. Raikou comes in. Raikou's going to have a tough time breaking Registeel, and Vaporeon is... probably could have tried more things to get Vaporeon in on a safer turn against Registeel, because I feel like Vaporeon is pretty good here. Doesn't hardwall Registeel, but makes it so that Raikou has a more difficult time. Like, makes it so that it's easier for Raikou to steal from a Thunder Wave. But this game's a really good example of Raikou just beating everything. Because, I mean, Registeel, Regirock, Dragonite, that's... and Marowak, that's a lot of pieces that can stop Raikou, but sometimes Raikou just gets lucky like that. Full para crit. Didn't even set up a sub to block the Thunder Wave. And that's why people don't like Raikou. Lory kind of holds the sentiment that Paraspam is kind of tricky, but said that he does like the tier generally, so we'll see how Lory feels after that game. Here's game 2. Because like Paraspam just lost to Raikou. Lead Hariyama Bulk Up. That's... I mean, Bulk Up's a really good option on Hariyama, but usually people opt for other things in that slot. Dragonite comes in, Hidden Power, does a lot to Vaporeon, so it's either a really frail Vaporeon or that's Twist Band Dragonite. Houndoom gonna come in, Hidden Power, Hidden Power Grass. Overheat. With Bulk Up it might be Guts instead of Thick Fat, just trying to throw something out there. What's the... oh, he's Brick Break, so going Alakazam probably could have been fine. And again, JoJo have with the Inner Focus Alakazam. I'm not sure, because I think I checked and Alakazam's default is synchronized, and so it's weird that he'd bring Inner Focus Alakazam on multiple teams. Like, that's a deliberate choice. I wonder if he's just worried about Fake Out for something. Rhydon, another good Pokemon. This team does look pretty weak into Chansey, but Rhydon is really good at abusing Chansey for its 101 subs. Is this Twist Band Rhydon though? I want you to do 51, doubtful. And so like Thunder Wave against Chansey or Synchronize would have been pretty good against Chansey there. Also can set up pretty freely on Registeel for the same reason. Like if it's this Registeel or Chungler's Registeel, that Rhydon Substitute is going to put in a lot of work and just give it a free turn to either like throw out an Earthquake, throw out a Double Edge, see what comes in, or set up a Sword Stance for one extra hit. If it's got the move slots, theoretically. Lory wins that one 3-0. The big problem here, I think, is what? I guess that was just a bad matchup into Machamp. Because, I mean, Sceptile is okay into it. Dragonite and Alakazam are good into it, but both get walled by Registeel. Lory's core here, pretty good. Of course, Lory running typically good defensive course. See if Lory brings the same type of team into Game 3. Cool Fish, it's another Thunder Wave user. Both are setting up spikes all the way. Lory almost certainly has a spinner. JoJo does have a spinner that got instantly hydro pumped. Hydro pump not very frequently ran. Really only use is against Donphan. Or things that are immune to Sludge Bomb like Scizor or something like that. JoJo bringing Toxic Chansey, Sleeping Venusaur. Giga Drain, nope, Swords Dance, okay. So it is standard Venusaur, Haunter, Faster, Hidden Power, Fire, maybe? Alakazam, gonna click Fire Punch. I like bulky Alakazam because people typically expect Alakazam to be faster. Obviously, then you just kind of lose to Raikou, but if you have other Raikou answers on your team, like this team has Donphan and Venusaur and Chansey, so I think it probably has enough to run bulky Alakazam, so it can just recover spam against Regice. If it gets frozen, then so be it. You have Chansey for potential Heal Bell. Because, I mean, how much did it do with Fire Punch to the special wall of Regice? 31. After 3 layers of spikes, that's going to rack up pretty quick. Not a lot of Roar on either side here, which is interesting because Roar is so necessary in UUBL. Lory's going to pick this one up with Alakazam. Alakazam's another, like, not just bulky Alakazam is good, but Calm Mind Alakazam also very good. Just has to worry about Houndoom really, but Alakazam can run Hidden Power or Water to take out Houndoom after like 1 Spike and 1 Calm Mind. Houndoom is actually looking really good into this team, so I wonder what Lory has in the back. Probably Dragonite. Maybe Water type Vaporeon, perchance. Kind of also looking for a spinner though, so I don't know. That's that set. That's winner's bracket. Okay, now we've got Dwarf versus Scallywagon. Espeon versus Tauros. Espeon could Baton Pass. Tauros is just gonna Body Slam, not Choice Band, so it's sub Toxic. Or sub with Body Slam, probably not Toxic. Maybe though. Scallywagon is looking like a little bit more of a defensive team. It might, I was gonna say, unless it has Chansey, it might just get bowled over by Espeon right here, right now though. Espeon's gonna Baton Pass into... It's just gonna keep setting up Calm Minds. After all, why not? Synchronize the poison onto Chansey. Lumberry. I wonder if Espeon has Baton Pass if it has Lumberry. Like, surely it does. Chansey takes the time to get Toxic off on Espeon. Let's see if there's a Steel type in the back. Doesn't look like it. Baton passes to Raikou, and that's certainly over. Chansey's so low that Raikou's gonna KO it. Raikou at +3 is gonna Oko Tauros. Scallywagon could pull out a Steelix. Probably not. Already has a normal resistant Omastar and a Raikou check in Chansey. A ground type in Donphan. Probably could have went there a little bit sooner. Just in case Raikou has like the wrong hidden power. Just gonna try and chip heal Chansey up. Probably could have let Tauros go because Weezing is an easy check. Did successfully get the chip in for Chansey to live 1. We'll see if Raikou RNGs its way through Chansey. Chansey does have Toxic. Raikou hasn't revealed Hidden Power. Chansey will have exactly 1 turn to land a Toxic in like 2 Seismic Tosses. Or not Seismic Tosses, Soft Boils. So this is all or nothing right here. If it misses, oh, it just goes for another soft boil. Interesting. At 1%. Trying to save that roll. Raikou does get the paralysis on Chansey. Might switch into Tauros just to stop the Raikou, but then it's Chansey versus the world, and Chansey can't beat Weezing. Weezing will just PP stall Chansey with pain splitting, but Scallywagon trying to preserve Chansey as much as possible because Tauros is the only thing that could possibly stand in Weezing's way. I will double down and say it was probably better to sack Tauros than Dragonite, just because Dragonite at least has the option to get past Weezing. Tauros is going to have some mad RNG to be able to do that. And Chansey, with not a single full paralysis after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 turns. Tauros intimidate the Blaziken. Misses Sky Uppercut. Typical. I would expect nothing less from Blaziken. And Haunter is going to hardwall Tauros and Chansey at the same time. So unless Chansey has Ice Beam, it's over. Haunter clicks Taunt or Will-O-Wisp here. Taunt. Maybe Tauros is Choice Band. And not super invested, I don't know. 25 to Weezing just didn't feel like very much. Stab Body Slam for 100 attack. Espeon going for another Calm Mind Pass. Probably could have gone Blaziken there. Haunter does hard wall, so I guess I rate giving Haunter a little bit more offensive pressure here. We'll get some special drops with Psychic. We'll see if Tauros has anything. It is leftovers, sub-Tauros. Switch it out with Haunter. There's no way Tauros has anything to hit Haunter, especially after revealing leftovers. So we'll see what Dwarf's plan is here. Might just not want to get PP stalled by Chansey coming back in or something. Blaziken lands Sky Uppercut. Tauros is going to come in, get hard rolled by Haunter, and then the game's over. So I'm just going to skip a few turns here. Refresh on Tauros. Refresh, I rate it, but it does severely limit Tauros' move pool. I don't think it could have touched Haunter at all, and then Haunter just clicked Psychic. Archie saying that was a lot closer than I thought it would be. True. Getting Raikou up to +3 with a low Chansey was pretty scary for Scallywagon. Looking at game 2. Vaporeon versus Quillfish. Quillfish is going to be able to set up at least 2 spikes, all 3 it looks like, and then it's going to either Thunder Wave, Destiny Bond, Explode. Vaporeon might protect, but if it's... oh. Quillfish Sludge Bombs first. Raikou comes in, pressures out Vaporeon, Regice. We're going to see Sub Raikou, or we're going to see Psych Up Regice. Nope, Thunder Wave. An astute switch if Raikou does not have Substitute. Alakazam comes in on Regice. Interesting. Synchronize the Thunder Wave. But now that Registeel has Paralysis, might as well just absorb it with that. Alakazam Trispan Trick. Easy switch for into anything versus Regice here. It's Sleep Talk Registeel. Not Sleep Talk, it's Rest Registeel. So Registeel is going to be able to come in on Regice every time now. Because there's no way Regice locks into Thunder Wave. Vaporeon Subtecting. Scallywag playing this like Regice also has Rest. Seismic Toss instead of Thunderbolt. Another classic Regice set. Unfortunately, I think Toxic would have been a better move here. Toxic handles Raikou, handles... I mean, it does nothing to opposing Regice. And so I think just having that is Dwarf's ticket to victory here, is being able to Toxic Regice and then shuffle around to... Like, getting the choice band on Regice is very unfortunate there, because he's going to have to choice band Rest to get the Toxic off. Raikou is actually substitute, so when Dwarf switched out against Regice, might have just been afraid of Psych Up. Because a Psych Up Regice would be pretty scary for Raikou and the rest of this team. It's Seismic Toss, so it wouldn't have done that much to Registeel. But we're seeing Steelix put in some work here. But with Sleeping Donphan and Toxic Choice Band Regice, Raikou is looking pretty scary, even though there's so, like, Regice Donphan Steelix to get Raikou to back off. It's still going to be able to push through here. Scallywagon, also a very defensive team, kind of suggesting there's a heal bell around the back, so it might be probably chancy we might see Vileplume come in just for the defensive profile against perhaps like Leech Seed or I don't know. Or maybe it's just a breaker. I don't know what breaker would fit on this team because you already have 2 ground types, so it can't be Marowak. Ursaring would be pretty rough into fighting types, but Weezing compensates for that pretty effectively. There's no spikes up on Scallywagon's side. Once Rapid Spin... No, Donphan already has it, so... I guess we'll find out as Scallywagon plays around this Registeel. We're going to try and wish everything up, and then probably Heal Bell if Scallywagon has it to save Donphan. Steelix getting a bit of chip in, trying to pressure Registeel out with Earthquake or Roar. Registeel clicking Hidden Power. What, Hidden Power Steel or Rock? I feel like Steelix can pretty easily just click Earthquake there, or... I mean, you don't want to Roar, but Dragonite's at 2%. It's looking wrapped for Scallywagon, or in Scallywagon's favor, if Steelix just clicks Roar. Or Earthquake, I guess. Just enough HP to KO Raikou with Steelix, and then Dragonite has just attacking here wins the game. We won't see what's in Scallywagon's back, but it's would have to be pretty good offensively to compensate for a spikeless defense plan. Venusaur versus Lead Dragonite. We're going to probably see a lot of high base stat total Pokemon on Dusty Dwarf side, indicative of Lead Dragonite. Like, it's a really good lead, it chunks things, but Dragonite's pretty valuable to have in the lead slot. We see Registeel come out on Scallywagon's side. A pretty bulky team so far. Entei comes in. Entei's a really good Pokemon, I think. I like it. I don't know if I've said that this video or the last one or something. Flareon is a really good response. Maybe. Because Entei will sometimes have Hidden Power Grass, but this one has Subseum Toxic and then Fire Move, presumably. So Flareon is gonna wall this pretty hard, especially because if Flareon gets Toxic, it'll just be able to break Entei sub with whatever move it has, unless Flareon is suggesting no physical move. Otherwise, Entei's just gonna continue to set up behind this sub. I don't know about rotating Registeel in and out here. I mean, yeah, Flareon can take these flamethrowers, but then what? If Flareon... last move is probably Wish, talks with Protect. So Flareon's not going to be able to touch this Entei, but I'd be rotating the Slowbro in on the Calm Mind turns, you know. Just to get a little bit of health chip in, because, I mean, Entei only has Flamethrower and Toxic. I assume Slowbro has Rest, maybe it doesn't. Sack Slowbro, we might see Venusaur come into Sludge Bomb. Nope, just gonna go back to Flareon. Yeah, kind of a losing situation there. Just letting Entei snowball out of control. I think there might have been options there, especially depending on Entei's speed. Entei usually doesn't have the stats to run speed. This one looks like it would be pretty bulky. Maybe like just a normal dump stat into special attack, but because it's sub-toxic, Venusaur probably might have been able to outrun it if Venusaur has speed in it, and then can like Sludge Bomb away the substitute and then come in with like a Raikou or something to threaten it out. But depending on what's in Scallywagon's back, that Dragonite landing Thunder on Slowbro basically ended it, because Slowbro could have done that by itself too as well. But that's that set. Dastardly Dwarf wins. So next set, me versus Water Without Any Ice. So for this game, I decided to use just my favorite UUBL team. It's just the EVs with a water type lead. I switched Quillfish out for Omastar. The Quillfish variant, the win rate is kind of insane, but I felt like I needed a normal resist on the team, so I was just testing out Omastar. You'll see how well this works. But this Hidden Power Grass that turn, Vaporeon, what caught me super off guard, because Omastar, it just dropped Omastar. And, I mean, Quillfish would have been at least able to check that out. But what I like about the EV team is that the lead can just be whatever. And then it just has built-in checks for Raikou in Umbreon and Espeon, and then own Raikou. But, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the Flareon. So every time Flareon comes in on this team, it is on Registeel and just gets immediately exploded. So that's funny. I think I played this okay, but I mean, Hidden Power Grass Vaporeon just caught me so off guard. Water Without Any Ice is bringing some pretty offensive stuff here. Lead Raikou into Rhydon. Rhydon, another one of those like seldom seen Pokemon, but just because it has bad matchups into a lot of the tier, but it has some good matchups that will eventually land it a couple KOs. Like kind of like Diet Marowak, I guess. You just have to change around. Like Rhydon's a little bit safer to set up, but with less immediate impact. What else can I say about this battle? Weezing, as the on John Rumble Cart's set, is kind of rounds out the defensive profile. I forget what's last on this team. It's been a while since I played this game. Dragonite. Okay, I was gonna say because like the defenses are just enough there that you can just use another offensive Pokemon, like another setup sweeper or something. And this is kind of the situation where this team, the Evolution team, lands itself pretty often is Vaporeon has Haze for Registeel specifically, just so that Registeel can't set up curses and all that sort of stuff, and then I can, you know, Baton Pass into Flareon or spike up with Omastar or something like that. But the problem with running Haze on Vaporeon with Wish and Baton Pass is that Dragonite just sets up totally free on it. It really wants Ice Beam on this team because this has happened so many times. I'm kind of looking for a turn to maneuver in the Raikou. The problem is Dragonite's Earthquake is a chance to KO at 80%. Otherwise I probably would have just gone to it outright. It's just kind of waiting on Dragonite to get your crit there. And then it outspeeds Raikou for the KO, of course, after a Dragon Dance. But yeah, I usually in that situation I'd be looking for a predictable like attacking turn on Dragonite, but Water Thriving Ice is a really good team pilot. Like I was looking for that predictable turn and I just couldn't find it. And that's usually my game plan against a lot of situations like that. I don't want to sound like I'm not the best Pokemon player, but I think I'm pretty good at predicting when people will click certain moves, and then I just mess myself up with my own plays after that. But yeah, like I said, John Arbol Cookart, a really good team pilot. Game 2. This is a sort of more experimental team that I hadn't really tested before this. I wanted to try Dodrio Steelix because I think that the chemistry is just inherently there, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to run on this team. And see, like there, I anticipated Slowbro kind of Thunder Waving, but I didn't anticipate Thunder Waving twice against Steelix. Especially when I have Hariyama, I could just went there, I guess. But, you know, I don't know what Slowbro's trying to do here. An unfortunate crit with Psychic, but I was really just trying to use Tentacruel as a pivot to get something else in. Slowbro paralyzes Dodrio, and at this point it's over. The other piece on this team is Gardevoir. Gardevoir is one of those Pokemon that gets like so many cool moves that I always think about using it, and I want to use it, but it's typing and physical defense is so awkward that it just ends up feeling kind of awkward overall. So on this team, it's a Wish Healer. This slot could have been used by Chansey a little bit more effectively, but like I said, I just wanted to use Gardevoir because it has the offensive presence as well. The most successful I've been able to use Gardevoir is Thunder Wave against Raikou. Raikou usually stays in there against it. I also experimented around with like Imprison Thunderbolt Gardevoir, and that found some success. But it like Registeel just comes in. Maybe we'll see more Gardevoir in Registeel-less games, like if it goes to OU. Another thing is Revenge on Hariyama. I feel like Revenge is a terribly underrated move in Gen 3. I never see anybody use it outside of Celdanami, and I don't understand why, because it's so... Like on Machamp, you're probably going to be slower than a lot of things, and it's effectively the same base power as Cross Chop. Obviously, Cross Chop has the crit chance, but 80 accuracy. And so, I don't know, I just feel like it's a really good move, and I see a lot of people running Brick Break on Hariyama, but Brick Break is like situationally very similar, so I like using Revenge. Unfortunately, it does not have the benefit of, like, in later gens, when the Act, like, power-up thing counts for switching. If they switch in Gen 3, Revenge, I don't think doubles the damage. Unfortunately, Gardevoir gets paralyzed here. Water Without Any Ice is pretty confident that after the battle said that they had enough stuff to wrap it up. I think I probably could have put up a decent fight with Gardevoir with Wish because it's Hariyama. Kind of just trashes a lot of this team, but especially with what is that, Choice Band mixed Dragonite with Raikou in the back. I still try it all, but you know, Ursaring comes in and 100% to Raikou. So that's that game. Again, very offensive team. I feel like I had the pieces for this game, but I mean, crit on Tentacle Pivot and the Freeze on Gardevoir just kind of ruined any chance I did have. I do think this game might have been like a little 50-50, but Water Without Any Ice, again, really good pilots, I don't know. GG's to that. Okay, this one. Alder versus Bydy. We've got Houndoom lead. That's something you used to see a lot, but it's been a long time since I've seen a Fire-type lead. And honestly, I'm not sure what they're trying to target, except for just having high special attack, maybe with like Hidden Power Grass to hit Omastar, and then like be neutral to Raikou. Bydy with Spikes and Pursuit is looking like Raikou might be the only breaker for this team, outside of like, I mean, Houndoom's a pretty good breaker too, but not terribly so. We might see something else in the back. It might be Choice Band Dragonite. But we'll see what gets through Alder's team here, especially Regice with just into this team in general looks like pretty big roadblock. Even counting the Houndoom, Regice can just Thunder Wave it, switch out to something, heal back up. Notably, Alder does not have Wish, so Regice's health is limited. If this Raikou has Rest... No, it's Roar. Okay. Sex Houndoom, get Regice in fresh. It's going to be able to Seismic Toss this last time. And then Bydy using Wheezing last implies that the last Pokemon's going to be pretty weak to Regice. Memento. Let's go. It's Lanoon! My Lanoon boy. That's awesome. So the problem with Lanoon getting in here is that Regice, Donphan, and Wheezing and Omastar are all really good against Lanoon. A lot of them have a solid chance to live extreme speed. I've been looking into Return Lanoon. I feel like it could have run that here with the Houndoom, but the Spike also is kind of like a risky maneuver with no spinner for Lanoon because the Memento into Belly Drum is like you have to pick your target pretty hard against 3 spikes if someone's able to set that up. What else is the complement for Lanoon here? You've got spikes, but no spike blocker. There's nothing that really threatens a rock type either. Like if Alder had a Regirock, I mean even just Omastar had... I mean, there's Raikou for that, but Omastar's obviously not staying in on Raikou unless it's life or death. Wheezing, I guess, would come in on all the rocks, but they would stay pretty healthy overall. So yeah, I like people who go all in on Lanoon, but there's a lot of Pokemon that counter Lanoon. Game 2, Omastar Tauros. Choice Band Tauros. Bydy setting up spikes. This is probably going to be one of Bydy's regular teams with Omastar, Ghost type, another Water type, Steelix, Chansey. Alder using Roselia, notably. We'll see what Roselia wants to do here, because it can threaten out Omastar, but that's about it. Can spike on Chansey. We'll see how Bydy wants to get around Dusclops, because I'm not seeing a good way of doing that so far. Just Spikes Roar Steelix, and then he'll bell it back up on the Will-O-Wisps. Because Alder hasn't revealed a spinner yet. And I assume last for Bydy is a ghost type. Yep. Dusclops versus Dusclops. Alder's Vaporeon is also looking like it's going to be pretty impactful. Tentacruel at 100% can kind of blank Vaporeon, but it catches a burn here. I think that Tentacruel might have came in a little bit too early. Probably could have stalled a couple more turns with Dusclops just to scout what Alder's set is. Tentacruel might have been able to like attack there. I mean 31, well I guess not really. Fish, if I were piloting, I would fish for a crit at least one cycle for rest. But I'm wondering what Bydy has on this Tentacruel, if it's just spamming Surf in the face of a Vaporeon. And then it's also got Rapid Spin, Ice Beam. Last move, Protect, maybe. Maybe probably Hidden Power Electric, and just staving off the attack on Vaporeon to hide it for later. Now, why did Alder forfeit there? I think it was just switching Dusclops out with the Spikes chip and then 2 Surfs. Bydy keeping the pressure up with Tentacruel is what gave that game away. I think Alder could have probably still won it. I mean, Tauros is not looking too good, so I'm wondering what's in the back. Maybe it's just Raikou, but against Chansey, Dusclops, Steelix, not looking too great. So, I don't know. A fire type also makes sense there, but again, against this team, like, these 3 will just stop the fire type, even though these 3 are weak to it. Game 3. Looks like Bydy's using the Spikes kit again. This might be a slightly different team than we saw last time, but it's possible he's just using what's comfortable for him. Registeel, Machamp, Dragonite. Especially with Earthquake Registeel, this is a lot more offensive of a team from Alder. Kind of relying on counter picks for the meta, like Lantern for Raikou kind of implies that there's no special tanks on this team. Registeel also occupies kind of a physical tank role, so we'll see what's the last Pokemon is. Venusaur, Houndoom. You got the Firewater Grass, the Dragonite, Registeel. So a pretty well composed team. Just the goal is just to keep up the pressure as long as possible. Bydy reveals its Focus Punch on the exact right turn after first turn Will-O-Wisping. Kinda interesting Alder didn't just immediately go Houndoom there. Might have wanted just to scout what's on Dusclops. Like, does it have Focus Punch? But ended up having it anyways. We'll see what else Dusclops has for staying in on Machamp. Might be trying to Pain Split. Might be trying to Curse. That's just going to Seismic Toss. So Machamp's going to be able to Hex it out. Yep. Not the Hex I thought was coming, but ended up doing that anyways. Chansey's just going to always be a free pivot into Lantern. Could probably go Steelix if you're really trying to risk it, but I mean, with Machamp, Lantern Machamp is kind of deadly here. Is there a good team that would be able to get a well-used Lantern Machamp combo? I don't know. Trying to think of one. I guess Venusaur itself would be pretty good. Because sometimes Lantern lacks Ice Beam. Because like stabs might be like Subtect or Toxic or Thunder Wave. But it looks like Alder's just got this game. Offense is just really hard for Balance to overcome. Alder's gonna save the Venusaur. Just go straight into Registeel for Explosion, and then Venusaur's gonna come in, Sleep Chansey, set up. Or no, it doesn't have Sleep Powder, huh? Double Synthesis into Swords Dance Sludge Bomb Synthesis. Toxic Chansey, unfortunate against Venusaur. And Steelix as well, and Machamp. Chansey usually really wants to run Thunder Wave. I think I might have said this last video. It's unusual that Bydy brings Toxic Chansey compared to the rest of the meta, but it works out most of the time for him. So Alder wins that one, advances. Now for the last set, we've got Chadplink versus Jerry Pakota. Raikou Chansey, Regirock versus Alakazam Registeel. A little bit of, I wouldn't say rare Pokemon, but less common Pokemon in Regirock and Alakazam. Did Alakazam reveal much? No, just Psychic, so could still be anything. Knockoff, Encore, Choice Band Trick. Houndoom. You'd expect Chadplink to have gone Houndoom immediately, but decides to risk it on Chansey. Probably thinking that Raikou's presence would force Alakazam to not trick a Choice Band. And if Alakazam's trying to set up Calm Mind to live the Raikou, then it'd be able to take out Houndoom. So it's a good play in that situation. Not all situations, but in that one, yeah. Jerry brought Blaziken and Ludicolo as well. Again, more uncommon Pokemon. It is Lumberry Alakazam with Calm Mind. Staying in against Chansey, I guess, just to absorb another Thunder Wave. Not a lot that Alakazam's going to be able to do here. It was Hidden Power Water after all, so good on Chadplink for keeping the Houndoom off. It's not really going to do very much left here because it's like whenever Houndoom comes in, Blaziken's just going to immediately be able to respond. Ludicolo could try something for the Chansey, but gets blown up by Regirock. Roar Raikou. I think with Paralyzed Blaziken, there might not be enough left in the tank to try and overcome this Raikou. Blastoise roaring, anticipating Calm Mind. In the face of Raikou, I guess it's not... Well, I guess Blastoise is also kind of a big Dodrio check too. Ninja Power kind of sacking off Pokemon so that it's just Raikou Chansey left so that Raikou can't roar in something that it can take advantage of. Dodrio at this point just sort of dead weight, and Ninja Power's Raikou is also Calm Mind Roar, so it's going to be kind of like yeah, I was gonna say immediately send in Chansey for any hope here, and then Chansey's gonna Thunder Wave, and hopefully this is from Ninja Power's perspective. Hopefully this is just it's not Rest Raikou, because if it is, it's over. But if Raikou just has Hidden Power, then it's locked up. I will say that going for soft boileds a few times there, it kind of lets Raikou get a bit of an edge there, I guess. Own Raikou wouldn't have had enough to finish it off, but... Because what was it at when you started soft boiling? Yeah, 41. 10%. Might have been a roll. Game 2. Raikou lead. One's roar. Roars in Kangaskhan. Not something that Raikou wanted to roar in, but Scizor Quagsire. We're pulling out the sort of bottom half of UUBL here. Quagsire not UUBL, but you see it sometimes. Haze Quagsire, pretty good set for Scizor here. I don't know what Haze Quagsire was particularly looking at hazing, but it's working out versus Scizor for temporarily. You could probably go Raikou here. Opts for damage, because, I mean, Scizor's just going to overpower Quagsire over time. Dusclops burns Vaporeon. Kangaskhan is going to be able to wish Quagsire back up, or might just have to stay in because Vaporeon's just doing so much to it. Vaporeon reveals hidden power, probably grass, expecting Quagsire to come back in. So Kangaskhan attacks. It's gonna have to switch out. We'll see what Dusclops wants to do, because a Will-O-Wisp will only keep Scizor off for so long, and I mean, risking the miss too. Could probably go Raikou here. Stays in with Dusclops. Just because Scizor has Morning Sun, so you really want like a lot of damage off on it pretty quick here. Otherwise it's going to be able to keep hammering anything that you send in on it. And Pain Split's only going to get you so far as it sets up more Swords Dances. Hidden power must be ground then. Just the standard Steel Wing hidden power ground, because it wasn't resisted by Dusclops. Altaria's gonna come in, probably could have come in a little sooner there. Regice. So what's the team looking like? Altaria over Dragonite means that Altaria is earning Wish, and that the team kind of needs to defensively pivot to justify running Altaria. But the problem is the defensive pivots are Quagsire and Dusclops, which Quagsire needs the Wish support from Kangaskhan. And Kangaskhan's kind of in the same boat as Quagsire, where like it's got enough stats to be considered, but not enough to be reliable. Raikou's gonna sweep the rest of this team, it looks like. Yep. So I'm just gonna skip ahead a few turns here. Forfeit, game 3. What are they bringing this time? Another double Raikou lead. Roared in Wheezing this time. No double switch. Wheezing just Pain Splits. Raikou, obviously with Roar, probably doesn't have sub, so Pain Split was a fairly safe move there. Unfortunately, Raikou just switched into Quillfish, so Quillfish could explode just to get Blastoise out of there and keep the spike. Elects to go for Sludge Bomb. Quillfish could explode here too. It's not going to KO the Blastoise, but it lets Raikou come back in and claim a little bit more ground. If Blastoise wants to Rapid Spin, of course it's got to risk the Poison Point. Blastoise commonly runs Refresh, but maybe Blastoise doesn't even have Rapid Spin. It could be a second spinner in the back. Nope, it does. Okay. So Quillfish kind of spending down a lot of health for no benefit. It might... I mean, I don't want to say it doesn't have Explosion, because it probably does, but it might have Destiny Bond or Thunder Wave instead. Scizor again. Jerry really believing in Scizor a lot more than a lot of other people do in this tier. We'll see if this one's Baton Pass or just the same Scizor we saw last game. It's looking like the same Scizor. Blastoise roars and Quillfish. See what Quillfish wants to do, if it wants to explode. Yep. Or set up another spike was the other option, but I mean Blastoise just Rapid Spins. Well, I'm sure there's some pivoting that could happen there. And then Chad Plank revealing Rhydon. Rhydon's not going to have a great time this game, which is unfortunate because that's one of two offensive pieces, the other one being Raikou. But Jerry doesn't have anything that stands up to Raikou other than his own, so we'll see how that goes and what's in the back for Jerry. Because his team is also just semi-defensive, like there's no true wall revealed yet. But it looks like Chad Plank has this just on Raikou alone. Arcanine. So as they go Vaporeon, is Arcanine gonna Thief? Or like no, it already had leftovers, so it probably could have went for Hidden Power Grass there if it had it, but if it's Hidden Power Fighting, then Flamethrower makes more sense, just fish for the burn on Vaporeon. Because once Vaporeon's burned, it's a lot easier to deal with. And then you've got the Weezing Scizor stalemate. Weezing free to just quick Pain Split here. And then Sludge Bomb, just fish for poison on Vaporeon. Doubles to Chansey. What's Chansey gonna do? Seismic Toss Scizor down. Probably just goes Arcanine here. Not gonna risk the spam of Swords Dance. Paralyzed Scizor. Oh, I was using Roar. That makes sense. But again, probably could have just gone Arcanine. Arcanine clicks Toxic, expecting Vaporeon, but Scizor uses that to keep up more health. I think it's fine for Jerry to stay in with Scizor there because it has such a rough matchup into everything here. Assuming that Rhydon is running like Rock Slide instead of Rock Blast or something like that. Regice in the back. Going Regice on the Weezing is if it's Rest, that's a good play. If not, it was Jerry's just playing best play. Because all of his other Pokemon just didn't want to come in there on Weezing. Vaporeon is probably Ice Beam over Toxic, so this Chansey is just going to be able to keep healing up. I don't know if you want to Thunder Wave against Vaporeon or keep the slot open for like Poison Chance, Will-O-Wisp, Burn Chance, stuff like that. Chad Plank sees it as Paralyzed Vaporeon and just let something else handle it. Because Chansey's going to need a lot of Seismic Tosses to get through Vaporeon, even without Wish. how can Jerry save this? Regice would have to B rest, save against Rhydon, but Vaporeon's paralyzed, so the Rhydon answer becomes Raikou unless it's Mixed Knight. Paralyzing the Arcanine helps. Dragonite Dragon Dancing here could work, but looks like, well, maybe not Focus Band or Choice Band. I don't know, it depends on Arcanine's stats. Vaporeon kind of revealing no wish. We'll see what Dragonite wants to do here. We'll see if it is choice locked. Appears to be. No heal bell, but got through Chansey, so Jerry's Raikou is looking pretty good. Shadplank really had no reason to Thunder Wave there, because Regice is burned, Vaporeon's already paralyzed, and Raikou's not coming in on Chansey. So probably could have just spammed Seismic Toss once he saw Focus Punch come out. But yeah, Raikou on both sides is looking pretty good. So it's just going to come down to a Raikou Calm Mind off. Neither of them are particularly favored, I guess, because they're not like chipped or status. They're both lead, one is roar. Chadplank probably wanted to have Rhydon in there first, just so that, yeah, I actually agree with staying Raikou there with Thunderbolts and not Hidden Power Icing if he had it, but I don't agree with going Wheezing. Again, Rhydon just clicks any move into Dragonite and then KOs Raikou with Earthquake. Unless it's Choice Band Rhydon. Because if it's Choice Band Rhydon, then it can't Earthquake against Venus. Venusaur. Dragonite. Wheezing getting another crucial Pain Split in. Because Raikou had to Calm Mind against to be able to Oko Rhydon, maybe. Rhydon, famously not very high special defense, but because Raikou has to be HP Ice, it's not like it might be a roll even at +1. So Wheezing is fine to just spam Haze as Raikou chips down the burn, so that Rhydon can just click like Double Edge or something like that as a neutral into both. Oh, but the crit. I saw the health go down to 100 and I'm like, did Jerry really bring in power like water Raikou? That would have been crazy, but unfortunate last turn crit where it was totally saved. That's my experience with Rhydon as well, though, is I feel like whenever I bring Rhydon, it's just like it's set to win, and then it just gets crit. Unfortunate, but entertaining nonetheless. Really back and forth in the end game there. Jerry played his pieces well for what it was like a 4v5 with 3 statuses going on. Chadplank also played Own Raikou really well. I don't know what this Raikou's rest of its set is, if it's in power or sub-CM mono T-Bolt, or rest or whatever, but yeah, it had, well, I got it O-code, right? I don't know. But that's week 3. I'll see you all in week 4.